Today, almost the entire Kharkiv region is deoccupied. This was announced by the president of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky on Telegram. Today, almost the entire Kharkiv region has been deoccupied. It was an unprecedented movement of our soldiers. The Ukrainians again managed to do what many considered impossible, he notes. At the same time, the president recalled that the Russian army had been in the Kharkiv region for more than 5 months. And during this time, the invaders did not even try to do something for people, but only destroyed, took away. They left behind devastated villages, and in some of them there is not a single surviving house. Russia cannot bring anything other than genocide, Zelensky stressed. He showed photos of destroyed and mangled residential buildings, crosses over the graves of murdered Ukrainians. As reported by the Verkhovna Rada Commissioner for Human Rights Dmitry Lubinets said that in the recently deoccupied Izium, the Russian military destroyed more than 70% of the buildings. On September 15, advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine Anton Gerashenko said that a mass grave was found in a cemetery in the forest near the city of Izium, Kharkiv region, liberated from the invaders, where more than 400 bodies of people were buried. The new U.S. aid package to Ukraine, worth up to $600 million, will include additional HIMARS multiple launch rocket launchers and 36,000 rounds of ammunition for 105mm artillery pieces. This is stated in the message of the Pentagon, writes European Truth. The aid package also includes 1,000 high-precision 155mm artillery shells and 4 anti-artillery radars. In addition, Ukraine will receive 4 trucks and 8 trailers for transporting heavy equipment, anti-aircraft systems, demining equipment, Claymore anti-personnel mines, demolition charges, small arms and ammunition, night vision devices, and winter uniforms. In total, the United States has provided about $15.8 billion in security assistance to Ukraine since the beginning of the Biden administration, more than $15.1 billion since the February 24 Russian invasion. Last week, the United States announced a new $675 million military aid package to Ukraine to counter the Russian invasion. The new aid package will include additional munitions for artillery rocket systems HIMARS and 4 105mm howitzers, as well as 36,000 rounds for them. German Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht said Germany will supply Ukraine with 2 more Mars 2 multiple rocket launchers and 50 Dingo armored vehicles. In addition, 200 rockets for multiple launch rocket systems will be transferred, Lambrecht said in Berlin. Germany has already transferred 3 Mars 2 multiple rocket launchers to Ukraine. The Dingo General Protection Transport Vehicle is an armored airmobile and armed wheeled patrol and reconnaissance vehicle. In early September, it became known that the German government refused to supply Ukraine with Dingo cars, of which there are more than 500 units in the Bundeswehr. Ukrainian ambassador to Germany Andriy Melnik said he can't understand this government's refusal. We would need these German Dingos especially for the vital counter-offensive in the Kherson region, to save the lives of soldiers who, unfortunately, mostly have to move on foot, he said. Therefore, I call on Defense Minister Lambrecht to supply Ukraine with part of the 500 armored transport vehicles of full protection already in September. This will definitely not be a robbery of the Bundeswehr, he added. At the same time, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock insists on a speedy decision on the supply of German battle tanks to Ukraine. The US and EU are stepping up pressure on Turkey to overcome its evasion of anti-Russian sanctions amid concerns that the country's banking sector is a potential backdoor for illicit funding. This is reported by the Financial Times. The US is focusing on Turkish banks integrating into Russia's Mir domestic payment system, 2 Western officials involved in developing the plan said. At the same time, Brussels is preparing a delegation to express its concerns directly to Turkish officials. The pressure on Turkey comes at a time when Western capitals are orienting towards a more rigorous implementation of existing sanctions, rather than the introduction of new measures. The change confirms that the economic sanctions imposed after Putin's invasion of Ukraine in February have not hurt the Russian economy as much as they had hoped. But they argue that closing loopholes in the current measures is squeezing the Kremlin's funding lines. The Russian Defense Ministry announced the holding of joint exercises with the military of China in the Pacific Ocean. The servicemen will practice joint tactical maneuvering and conduct artillery firing. The tasks of the patrol are to strengthen naval cooperation between the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China, maintain peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region, monitor the sea area, as well as protect the objects of maritime economic activity of the Russian Federation and China, the press service of the Ministry of Defense said. From the Russian side, the following are involved in patrolling: the frigate Marshal Shaposhnikov, the corvettes Hero of the Russian Federation Aldar Sidenjapov, Perfect and Loud. From the PLA Navy, the destroyer Nyenchong, the patrol ship Yongchen, and the complex supply vessel Dongpinggu are involved in patrolling. The first joint patrol of the ships of the Russian Navy and the Chinese Navy was carried out from October 17 to 23, 2021. The counter-offensive actions of the Ukrainian army against Russian troops were very effective, but this does not signal the beginning of the end of the war. This statement was made by NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. He said Ukraine's counterattack against Russian forces was very effective, but warned that countries should be prepared for the long term. Of course, it is extremely encouraging that the Ukrainian armed forces were able to retake the territory and also strike at Russian lines. At the same time, we must understand that this is not the beginning of the end of the war. We need to be prepared for a long journey, he said. Stoltenberg to journalists. Today, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky said that almost the entire Kharkiv region has already been deoccupied. It was an unprecedented movement of our soldiers. The Ukrainians again managed to do what many considered impossible, he said.